Hey y'all, happy Tuesday. How's everyone's week been going? How are you all doing? How's everyone managing and navigating what's going on? Check in with me. Let me know. I want to make sure I'm a resource for you and supporting all of you the best I can while we're all navigating coronavirus on a personal level and with our businesses. Today, what I want to chat about is the number one things my clients know with a capital K that's helping them make money right now. I think before we dive into this, something that just feels really important to speak to that I've chatting about over the last few weeks is that we are so lucky as online business owners and as service-based business owners because we are in a position where we can show up and market and sell and continue to keep our businesses running in the middle of COVID-19. And I think there's a lot of noise online. I know because I'm hearing it from some of my clients and I'm hearing it just from people I know in the industry. And so I really want to dispel some of the noise out there in terms of people aren't spending money right now. People aren't investing right now. There's just too much noise. Everyone's online. It's not possible. And I really want to speak to and clear some of that up. I'm very lucky to see behind the scenes of a lot of businesses through my clients, through all the people I work with, as well as the different communities and just colleagues I'm a part of who are at different stages of business. And what I can say I know to be absolutely true is that people are absolutely investing right now. People are absolutely spending money right now. I'm seeing it with my clients. My clients, many of them are selling, making money of them. Many of them are, quite honestly, getting more discovery calls and more clients than they were before. And I'm seeing it with colleagues as well, in different industries. And this is industries, not just business coaches. I have many clients who are not business coaches. So I really wanted, before we dive into this, just dispel that. And because as long as we think it's not possible and people aren't spending money and we kind of just have to wait, you're going to get what you focus on. You're not going to make money. So really want to speak to absolutely not only is it possible, but it's very much happening for those of us who I'm speaking very directly to the online service-based entrepreneurs and businesses. I do also have some clients who have businesses offline, and I will say they're still operating and making money and still in need. And so I think that's just such an important thing for all of us to remember. People are still investing. I'm still investing. My business last month did a multiple 5-figure month. Many of my clients are doing the same. So just to put out what's possible and really speak to that. Now, today, what I want to chat about is something that I see, I've been very blessed. I've worked with so many clients. What I do is one-on-one work. So I'm always seeing very intimately the behind the scenes of businesses, and I'm seeing a lot of them at a time. And this is what I've been doing for years now. So I really get to see over time, what are the things that help people really have those results they want? What are the things that, make it more difficult and for some people and make some people take a little longer to get the results they want or feel a little more challenged? And particularly right now, it's been really fascinating taking a look at my clients and just getting curious about, okay, so why are some clients just having an easier time, and why are some clients, what's been more of a struggle for them as it relates to making money selling during Corona or COVID-19. And what I think is fascinating and something to speak to is what we're going to talk about today is true now, but it's also going to be true in 3 months, and it was true 3 months ago. It just happens to be particularly highlighted right now because everything's a little heightened, but it's absolutely true now. It was true before, and it's true later. And I think just overall, as we're talking, as we're managing our businesses through this time, I keep saying manage your mind to manage your business through this time. I think what's important to remember is not all that much has changed in terms of business principles. The circumstances have changed. People's mindsets have changed. People's level of fear and scarcity and urgency might have changed. The way in which we deliver some businesses, some of our needs might have changed, but the core principles of business haven't changed all that much. And the core principles that create success haven't changed all that much. And so just really something to keep checking back on, because what your brain's going to want to do during this time is look for the secret, for that secret magic pill out there, for what's going to poof get you through this time. I just want to keep reminding everyone what's going to get you through this time is the same stuff that was going to get you through building, growing, and scaling a business 6 months ago. And it's the same stuff that's going to help you build, grow, and scale a business 6 months later, which is managing your mind to manage your business so you can keep showing up, getting out of your own way to lead, thrive, and strategically run your business. All right, so the things that I'm teasing this out way too long. Let me cut to the chase because I want to share that one thing my clients that I see who are really getting epic results right now. And, where this time it's like, we're talking like I've had a client book a 25K client in the first 2 weeks when coronavirus was happening. One of my clients is launching a first time course really successfully. Like first time course, that is not common for a first time course launch outside of crazy situations, especially during this time. My client booker second paying client ever. I have a client who's I think 5 months into a brand new business who's almost fully booked. I mean, we're talking like real results right now. A client who hit 100K in sales for the year during this time. Anyway, so the one thing they know that I want to invite all of us to talk about, and we're going to talk about this from a mindset perspective, and we're going to talk about how this applies to strategy, because it's both mindset and strategy. This is going to sound overly simple, which is why I'm teasing it out, but I want to tease this apart and really dive into it. So what they know is the difference between their mindset, their thoughts, their stories, and their audience and their audience and clients' mindset, stories, and thoughts. So let me repeat this, and then we're going to break this down from a mindset perspective and strategy perspective. My clients that I see crushing it, what they know, and what we spend a lot of time working on is really creating separation between what is their mindset and their thoughts and their story, and when we think about their clients and their audience, what is the mindset, thoughts, and stories of their audience and clients? So let's talk about this first from a mindset perspective. I know I'm always like preaching mindset, manage your mind to manage your business. It is so multi-layered in terms of how much our mindset affects everything, y'all. But if we think about this, it is so easy and so normal and human for us as people to take our thoughts and our stories when we're not managing them, when we're not in that observer place where we're starting to notice our thoughts and see what's going on with us, to take all of that and just to project it on others. And just to assume that is the truth, that our perspective, our stories is just the way it is. So this is always the case, but right now, particularly when things are super heightened, and y'all just chime in if you have questions around this and let me know if this is resonating with you. I never even said this, but particularly right now when things are, hey, thank you. Is it George or is it Jorge? Says love it. Thank you for reflecting that. Y'all let me know if you have questions. What is so common for us to do always, but particularly right now, we have to think our brains are in like overdrive in terms of trying to protect us, where we have a lot coming up in the news. A lot of us are in normal because our brain is wired from a survival mechanism, the part of our brain, the reptilian part of our brain, that's in overdrive right now. And it is looking for, how can I protect myself? Where are the threats? What is negative? What are the worries? What can I do to keep myself safe? This is on hyperdrive for all of us. And so it's really easy for us to take our thoughts, whatever, like our worry and like all of our stories and all of our mindset stuff, and when we're not paying attention to it, to just take it and dump it into our business and just assume that is the same for our people, for our audience, for our clients, and to put it onto our people. And so what happens, and this is where it really starts to either sabotage your money or your sales or to help you increase it, is, let's just take a look at how this shows up in a couple different ways. Imagine you're having a sales conversation with someone. If you're kind of smushing this all together and you're just whatever's going on in your brain because you're normal and human and there's a lot going on, and then add on, forget coronavirus, just add on the normal stuff that can come up around insecurities, around selling, around making money, around your business. If you're not taking that as yours and separating that out and noticing those as your thoughts, when you're in a sales conversation with someone, everything they say to you is going to make you think that they are affirming what you're worried about, what your fears are. It's the way the brain is wired. Let me give you an example outside of business. For those of you in a relationship, or if you've ever been in a relationship or dated, have you ever noticed how easy it is to get into a fight with someone and you're like arguing, and you're arguing because you are sure that thing they said means that thing that you're really worried about? And then when the fight finally is over and like the dust has settled and you can actually have a calm conversation and get out of your own thoughts and hear the person in front of you, you realize that thing they said had absolutely nothing to do with the thoughts that were in your head. But because you were having the thoughts in your head and you weren't paying attention to them, what you heard from your boyfriend or girlfriend or best friend or mom or dad or whatever is something that just validated whatever your fears or concerns are. Let me know if this is making sense, because it's a really important concept to understand. This is completely normal, and it's not like we're suddenly trying to erase. I think this is the thing with mindset work I'm always talking to my clients about. The point of mindset work and managing your mind isn't that suddenly you don't have a limiting thought. It isn't that suddenly you're like fixed because you were never broken. It isn't that suddenly you don't have fears. It isn't that suddenly you don't have worries. It isn't that suddenly you don't have insecurities. It's that you know what to do with those thoughts. You know how to manage your mind. You know how to take a look at it and observe and say, oh, isn't that interesting? My brain is doing that thing. I can decide if I want to listen to this or not, and I can decide if I want to take these thoughts and bring them into my business. And when I'm having a conversation, a sales conversation, for example, with a potential client, I can decide to, hey, these are my thoughts over here. I'm working on them over here. I can just check them to the side, and I can decide to listen and hear the person in front of me from a very neutral place and not put all my BS onto them and look at and hear them through my layer of BS. I can decide to actually hear them and get curious about what are their thoughts, what are they actually saying to me, and what's some of their BS, because as people who are selling services and products in the online space that are meant to help people, the more we can get out of our own way and check our BS, and the more we can show up and remember our business isn't about us, it is about the people we serve, and actually hear them and get curious about their thoughts and their mindset, the more we can show up and serve, the more we can listen and hear, which, y'all, sales conversations, all that actually listening and hearing and helping the person in front of you feel heard and understood and building that trust, which means we have to put our stuff aside enough. But also, the more we can start to get curious about what is their mindset, what are their thoughts that I can support them with so they feel safe enough to invest, so they feel heard, so they feel understood, so they want to buy. Let me know if this is making sense to y'all, because I really want to make sure this is clear. Just like if you're in a relationship and dating, the more you can get clear on, oh, the story in my head, the thoughts in my head, the BS in my head is this. And my partner is saying this. Let me get curious, what are their thoughts? Let me get curious, what are they actually saying? Can I actually hear them? Can I actually get curious about the thoughts in their head and hear them and support them through those? Wouldn't that be amazing in relationships the more we did that? I swear this has been, like, for me in my personal relationship, my boyfriend will attest to this, game changing. It's like fights are non-existent because I'm able to know the difference between my mindset, my thoughts, my story, and his thoughts and his story and what he's saying. Same for us in business. I want to talk about how this applies to strategy, but I want to talk a little bit more about this from the mindset perspective first. So what I see, and with clients, what I will say is they know how to separate this out, but this doesn't, again, I cannot speak to this enough. This does not mean they're perfect at it. This does not mean they don't need support with it. I still work with a coach because I need support with this. So many of my client calls with my clients are just around creating this separation so that they can manage their mind, to manage their business, to show up in this way where they know these are my thoughts, these are my stories, these are my clients, or these are my potential clients. But I'm going to give you a couple other examples of how this plays out in business and why this makes all the difference for making money. So what I find really fascinating when we're not clear on, oh, these are my thoughts, this is my story, and we're just bringing it into our business, I cannot tell you how easy it is to have a sales conversation with someone or get an email from someone that is essentially saying, yes, I want to hire you, but I have a question. And because we bring all of our fears and insecurity, and we're not seeing those as our thoughts, and we're not getting curious about, oh, these are my thoughts, what are the thoughts, what is the mindset of the person in front of me, we will miss a yes because we're showing up with our mindset and we are reacting from our mindset, versus when you can take your mindset, your thoughts, and you're like, isn't this interesting? My brain's doing this stuff. Let me manage that. And then let me show up and get curious. What is the person in front of me actually saying? What are their actual thoughts? More often than not, what we'll see is there are goldmine opportunities, yeses, that are, I just have a simple question. I just need a link. I just need to know how this program works. Really simple questions people will ask that are about their thoughts, that are about their story, that are about their mindset, that aren't even an objection, that are essentially a yes, that we will miss, or that my clients will miss if we're not working through this. Let me know if that makes sense, or if you've ever experienced that. No shame, but be really interesting to have a conversation around this. The other place this really shows up, bless you, the other place this really shows up is when we think about objections in sales conversations, which are normal, you all. what is really important and where this comes out is if you're not separating your mindset and thoughts from your client's mindsets and thoughts, it is very difficult to have a conversation around objections and to support someone through the objections that their brain is handing them, because we're coming in with our own objections, because we're coming in with our own BS. So we have to overcome our own mind first, and we can't even hear what someone else is presenting to us. Or we will co-sign and say, oh, that's interesting. That thing they just said to me, that story they just said to me, yep, that's actually right. Like, oh, that's right. I was just hoping they wouldn't notice that and wouldn't say that. Has anyone ever experienced that on a sales call? When that happens, that's because we haven't done the work to get clear on what are my thoughts, what's my mindset versus what are the thoughts and mindset of my people. And if we can create that separation, magic happens, y'all. So I'm just gonna, like, what I mean by that is if you've ever been on a call with someone and they've given you an objection, again, super normal. If we're not managing our mind around that and creating that separation, a couple things can happen. One, we just hear that as truth. Oh, you're saying that no one's spending money during COVID-19 and so you have to wait to hire me right now? You're totally right. You're absolutely right. Cool, we'll talk later. If that's happening, y'all, that is because you are taking your mindset and you're not separating it out and getting curious about the thoughts and mindset of your people in front of you. Let's say someone on a call, I'm trying to think of another good example here for this. Let's say there's a lot of scarcity around being able to invest when you don't have money currently. Such a normal thing that comes up for people. If that is also your story and your mindset, and you're not doing the work to get clear on this is my story, my mindset, as soon as someone hands you their thoughts, their mindset in a call, you're just gonna be like, oh yeah, totally, that's just truth. Instead of, oh, fascinating, my thoughts over here, but I'm gonna manage and I'm gonna get really clear. Those are their thoughts, that's their story, that's their mindset. And that's the thing they need support with right now from me. Can I overcome my own BS over here so I can show up to help them and hear them overcome theirs? Let me know if this is making sense, y'all. It is really, really tough to support someone through a sales conversation or to build that trust with someone if we're coming in with all of our stuff and just when someone's bringing it back to us, we're like, yep, that's right, because it's all the same, versus can we create enough separation to see these are my thoughts, these are my people's thoughts. Let me know. You guys are very, very quiet. Let me know if that is making sense. The other thing, this is a little on the woo side, but I really don't even think it's on the woo side. I think it's up very much on the practical side, and then we will talk strategy, is the more you do the work to manage your mind and to get clear on what are my thoughts that I need to manage, not that I need to have perfect, but just what is my brain doing? What are my thoughts versus what are the thoughts and the mindset of my people? The more you're going to notice that you can come to your business and manage your business from a really clear grounded place, and you're going to attract people who match that. The more you're mushing it together, the more you're going to attract people into sales conversations or who want to work with you, who are mirroring back to you exactly the same stories and thoughts you have. So if you have fears and concerns, if you're bringing that into your business, you're going to attract that back. Versus if you can create that separation, it's also just less likely you're even going to attract it in the first place. Courtney says great points about separating the thoughts. Thanks, Courtney. Nice to see you here as I lose my purple strap. That's great, y'all. Thanks for being here with me. So really, really, really important, y'all. One more example, and then we'll switch to the strategy part of this. I was talking with a client earlier this week, and they were having, one of their new clients was kind of delaying on the payment and dragging their heels to book a call a little bit. And what was fascinating is we had to do some of this work to get clear on the way they wanted to react to this instead of respond was very much coming from a place of an ultimatum and a very controlling type of way to handle this. And we had to get really clear and create some separation around what was their thought about the situation, their mindset around the situation, and do some work to manage that. So we could then get clear on what was the thought and mindset coming up for their people, for this client in particular, so that they could neutralize this over here and show up for their person in a way that was really supportive, that really met their person where they were at. And of course, the situation got resolved in no time at all, but it got resolved because instead of coming in as a reaction with their stuff and projecting their stuff and all their their fear, like, I'm going to lose this client, they don't want to pay me right now, they don't want to book a call. Instead of coming in with that and projecting that into the situation and reacting that way, they were able to come in and actually address what was going on for their people. Making sense? All right, let's pivot to why the separation matters when it comes to strategy. I think this is everything when it comes to strategy, always, but again, particularly right now. The more you can create that separation between what are your thoughts and your mindset and what are the thoughts and mindset of your people, the more your strategy will be on fire. What is really, I think, just a challenging thing when we're small business owners, when we're creating offers, when we're doing our messaging, when we're doing our marketing, we're the ones writing it. We are so close to it, and it's really easy to then create everything from the space of what we're thinking, and what's important to us, and what our mindset is all about. And what we want to do on the strategy side is create that separation again between what's my mindset and my thoughts versus what are the thoughts and mindset of my people, so that we can really start to think about what are they thinking, particularly right now, because we were saying at the beginning of the call, business hasn't changed. The fundamental principles of business haven't changed. What people are thinking and feeling and needing and wanting right now might have changed a little bit. And so instead of thinking about what do I need, what do I want, what am I thinking, and pouring that into our business, which makes our business very me-centric, very us-centric, versus, again, our businesses are not about us as much as they feel like they are. They're really about our people, and it's about helping our people solve problems and get the things they want and desire. The more we can get into the heads of our people and create that separation, the more we can actually understand, oh, this is what my people are thinking right now. This is what my people are scared of right now. This is what my people want help with right now. This is what my people want more than anything right now. And this is where your strategy is on fire, because suddenly you're able to have your messaging speak directly to your person, and your person's going to feel like you're in their head versus you talking at them because you're in your head. This is when copy is on fire, because you're speaking directly to what your people need and want versus to what you need and want. And y'all, this is, again, this is why having a coach is so important, because we're all so close to our work. It's so easy to miss. I'm talking with clients about this all the time on almost every call, and I still talk with my client about this, my coach about this, because it's really tough to create that separation for ourselves, and it's really easy to just assume our people that we want to serve are thinking the same exact thing as us or having the same exact experience as us. And while there's usually an overlap, and I think for a lot of my service-based entrepreneurs, a lot of your ideal clients are you're a few steps ahead, absolutely. But it's amazing how even when you're a few steps ahead, it's really easy to have that disconnect and to completely miss what your people are thinking at that moment when they want to invest from that strategic standpoint. And then again, if we just go back to mindset, it's so easy. I'm lovingly noting in my clients' copy all the time where their insecurities are just showing up and their mindset is showing up in their copy. So again, in our strategy, such an important piece here. I want to see the comment. Hey, Nancy, nice to see you. It's so funny, y'all, how sometimes Facebook tells me who's live and sometimes it doesn't. But Nancy, it told me you were live. Nice to have you here. So let me just see here, my notes here. So from a strategy perspective, and again, this is an absolutely right now, and this is a 6 months from now, 5 years from now type of a thing. The more you can create that separation between me as a business owner, you as a business owner, your thoughts, your mindset, and your people's thoughts and mindset in business when it comes to strategy, the more your strategy is going to have that rocket fuel behind it. Strategy itself tends not to be that complicated, but it's these sorts of details that make the difference between your strategy landing and connecting versus, right now when there's a lot of noise online, between it just going over people's heads, or they're like, yeah, that's really lovely, I'm gonna like it, but I'm not gonna necessarily click through and feel like I gotta talk to you and I gotta hire you and I gotta give you money right now. And that difference, such a big part of that difference maker, is separating out again. What am I thinking versus what are my people thinking? What's important to them? What do they want? What do they need? So if we think about offers, we were talking about this on one of the live streams recently. I think it's really tempting right now, and something I'm talking about with clients a lot right now. It's really tempting with all the noise online to think, oh my gosh, I need to put out all the fires and I need to address all the things. I need to talk about all the things in all the places, and I need to like have a million offers. And I think it's just really fascinating when we think about that, how much of that is based on our thoughts and mindset and story. Like, what's the story underneath that? A lot of times it's because fear, scarcity, feeling good enough, worrying about the noise online, worrying about the competition online, versus actually pausing long enough to think, wait a second, what are my people going through right now? What do they need? What's going through their heads? What are the thoughts in their heads? What are the stories in their head? To the degree of, if you're having those market research calls or those market research conversations, if you can pause long enough to check your stuff, you're going to come into those conversations and hear what people are telling you and ask questions to get more information in such a different way than if you're coming in, again, with your thoughts and your mindset and from your place where you are at the journey. Let me know if this is making sense, y'all. With my clients, what we talk a lot about is how important it is to speak to the results your people want. And this is, again, one of those things where for so many of us, the results we want for our clients, our thoughts, our mindset, are very different often than the thoughts and the mindset and the results our clients have in their head at the point of investing. I'll use myself as an example in this for a second. Courtney says, yes, I'm experiencing that right now with trying to create new offers and needing to pause a bit, working through it to make sure it resonates with my clients, with what my clients actually need. Thank you for sharing that, Courtney. That is I love you for being open and sharing that, because I think that's such a great example. Creating new offers, that's an amazing thing, but pausing long enough to actually get clear on, is this something that resonates with what my people actually want and need, with the thoughts, with the pain points, with the challenges, with the struggles in their head, versus what we're talking about here when it's coming from this place of what's going on in our head or what we think people need. I mean, we can go back to the relationship example there again. I'm sure we've all done that at some point. We're like, I just know what someone else needs to make their life better, whether it's a partner or whether it's a friend or whether it's a parent or a sibling, versus like, I mean, how well does that ever work when we're like talking to, I'll use my brothers. I have a brother who I adore. If I was to go to my brother and like, I just know exactly what you need, he's gonna be like, meh. If I am listening to him and getting curious about what he actually wants and needs, and then I'm coming to him with an idea that speaks to that, he's going to hear me. And I think it's kind of the same thing here. Strategically, particularly with your marketing and with your offers, this goes with your offers, this goes with your messaging, this goes with your marketing, this goes with your copy. It can still be, like, this is just the important thing to say, it can still be the same exact thing. It's just how we talk about and position it. So the offer might stay the same. I think for a lot of my clients right now, I don't know that any of my clients, I mean, people have created some new offers, but the general like offers themselves and work haven't changed that much. What's changed is the way we're talking about it. Even I mentioned one of my clients has a business that's offline, and she runs a really big team offline, and so much of what's happening is it's the way we're speaking about things and the way things are being messaged, and then just the way the team is being managed. It's not like the offer itself has changed. And so I think that's an important thing to hear. It's not like your offer necessarily has to change or your message or your work has to change. It's just if we can create that separation between what's important to us, what's my story, what's my mindset, versus how can I have the same exact thing and share it with my people in a way they're going to hear it, because I've gotten in their head and I'm speaking from the place of their thoughts and their mindset and what's going on with them. Does that nuance make sense? I'm trying to think. I use this example all the time, but I'm going to use it here because I think it's just relevant. With messaging, I talk about with my amazing heart-centered coaching clients who are coaches, so often when we're first working on messaging, they want to talk about empowering people. I'm all about empowerment, y'all. Like, it is one of my favorite things. I'm all about standing in your power. It is such an important thing in business. However, so often the people they want to work with, what they're excited about, their mindset, their thoughts is empowerment is so important. This is so amazing. I think the same thing. But if we're speaking to our people, meeting them where they're at and getting in their brain and thinking about their thoughts and mindset, a lot of times what they're thinking about is anything but empowerment. The word empowerment is definitely not coming up in their brain at all, one iota. And what we have to do is, these are my thoughts, this is my mindset on a strategic level, and clear on, and how can I serve the same offer? How can I speak to the same thing, but really get clear on what are the thoughts, the mindset of my people, so they actually hear and understand this, because they're probably not going to listen to me when I'm talking about empowerment. But they probably will listen to me if I understand the whole reason I want to help them feel empowered, if I can understand what that's about and what they're thinking they need and speak to that. And so it's the same thing here as we're in the middle of COVID-19 and we're managing our businesses and we're managing our minds. Our brains are going to want to kick up all these extra things. And our brains, as business owners, we're also going to think about things that are like, I know these are the things that are important. But if we just speak about that from our mindset and our perspective, we're going to miss our people every single time, and we're going to miss the opportunity to serve them. If I just came on here today and I was like, y'all, I'm just going to talk about, at this point, y'all probably know I love mindset, but if I'm like, I'm just going to talk about mindset all day long, none of you would get on this live stream. None of you would watch the replay. But because I told you, I was in your head. I know what's in all of your heads right now. It's like, how do I make money right now? What do I need to know right now? The concept I'm talking about is absolutely true, and it is absolutely a thing I know to be true that I'm seeing with clients. But I had to get inside your head to speak to this in a way and to bring this up in a way that you're going to want to pay attention. Same for all of you, particularly right now when there's a lot of noise online and there's a lot of new thoughts and fears and insecurities being turned up for your people. If you can do the work to get clear on what those are and then speak to them, like, that is the difference maker. And if you can do the work just over and over again, just keep checking back in with, is this my thought? Is this my story? Is this my mindset? Or is this my client's story, my client's mindset, my client's thoughts? From a mindset perspective, we go back to that. If we're having a conversation about objections and paying for a service, am I saying yes to this? Am I co-signing when they tell me that they can't afford this because I'm thinking, oh yeah, it's really hard for me to afford things right now? That would be your thought. Or am I hearing and understanding them saying, oh, let me get curious about this and actually have a conversation? That's understanding their mindset and story. And again, with strategy, am I selling and offering and speaking to things because of what I think is really important right now and what I'm excited about? Or because of my fears? It can come from a positive, or I don't want to say positive or negative, but it can come from a place of, these are the things that I think are really important right now, or it can come from that fear or scarcity mindset. Both ways work. Or am I speaking to the things that my people want and need right now? And how can I create that separation so I'm really remembering over and over and over again, yes, your business is about you because it's your business and your work and you love it, but your business isn't about you, which also means your business isn't about your mindset. Outside of your mindset is what manages your mind to run your business, but the business itself, your strategy, how you talk to your clients, your messaging, your marketing, your offers, how you run your business. The more we can keep your mindset out of that, come into it from a really clear, grounded, neutral place, the more you're going to be able to thrive and make money right now and always. Courtney says, you've given examples before, but what are some questions you might ask a client to get inside their heads mindset when they say they can't afford your services? So I think, and I love this question, Courtney just is asking, generally, when we have this objection on a sales conversation, someone saying they can't afford something. I think what is so, the most common thing for us to do, especially when we're not creating that separation between my mindset, my thoughts, and what's going on for my client and for them, when they're connected together and we hear that, it's so easy for us, especially if we have a thought around, I'm worried they can't afford it, or my stuff is too expensive, or what if I'm not good enough? Whatever the story is there, it's so easy for us just to shut down the conversation. We're like, yep, you're right, you can't afford it, or yep, this is expensive, or to get almost into that defensive mode where we feel like we need to start justifying why we charge what we do. Anyone ever been there? And so what I think is really powerful with something like this is, again, create that separation. That's my stuff. Let me focus on the person in front of me. And it's going to depend on the conversation, Courtney, but I think for everyone here just to hear this, I think so much of it is just, if I'm checking my mindset, my thoughts, my story around this and coming at this just from this place of, I'm really curious about the person in front of me. I just want to understand what's going on. I want to support them. I think the first thing is getting clear on, do they actually want this thing? Because if they actually want this thing, then I want to get clear on what's coming, just what's coming up around the afford piece. For me personally, a lot of times what I will speak to, because it's very true, is I think there's a really big difference between affording something and investing in something. And so with my services, I absolutely believe it's an investment. And I know a lot of people can't afford coaching. I couldn't afford coaching the first time I hired a coach. The first coach I hired, I literally didn't have the money, y'all. flat out did not have the money. I had to work through my own stuff to believe enough that it made sense for me to invest money I didn't have, and that I was going to show up for that investment. And so when someone says they can't afford services, that's one thing I'll want to speak to, is the difference between affording and investing. And, do they feel like they're in a place where they can show up for an investment? Do they feel like they're in a place where if they're going to invest in my services or whatever it is you sell, where they feel like, sure, most people don't have the money sitting around, but businesses cost money to run. Most businesses require investing for it to grow. A lot of times, y'all aren't going to not everyone's going to love hearing this, but a lot of times it takes money to make money. It just does. If I was going to open up a store tomorrow, I need to be able to pay rent. If you're in the online space, we have different things we have to invest in. So a lot of times I'll have a conversation around that and ask them, what comes up for you around this? Do you feel like you're in a place where you believe if you invest, however you come up with the money, not into helping people find the money, do you believe you're in a place where you can show up for that investment? Or I'll ask them what comes up for them around it. Sometimes it's more like the conversation's more around, sometimes it's not just that they can't afford it, but sometimes it's more around it's so much money, or that's way more money than they thought. A lot of times then what I want to do is open up the conversation and just hear what's coming up for them. So what I don't want to do is say, yep, you're totally right, you can't afford this, you can't have this thing you want. That's like the most disempowering thing ever. I just want to open up I also don't want to convince someone. So I just want to open up the conversation. So if it's something more along those lines of there's some more fear underneath that, I'll just want to ask some open-ended questions and just give people space to speak, because so often people don't have, I'm sure everyone can attest to this, most of us have not had a lot of experiences in our lifetime where people are supporting us to think out loud and to work through investing in ourselves, or letting us have permission to even think about investing money in ourselves and our businesses. Most of us have been raised with stories around, save all your money, don't ever invest in yourself, spend money on other people, definitely don't start a business and invest in a business. It's not safe. There's so many different, I think, societal messages we get. And so sometimes just giving people permission to talk about what's coming up for them, it's not even about saying a magical thing, just really gives people the space to actually think about, here's my mindset stuff, and then you can support them through it, obviously, but also what would it be like to actually even consider that maybe it's okay to invest in myself, maybe it's okay to even think about what this would be like, or to invest in my business. I didn't even realize that's something that I've been thinking for decades, just because I don't know, I heard that growing up. Courtney, let me know if this is resonating, because I'm kind of now off on a rant and riff about this. I feel like I had one more thing I wanted to share in that. And please please share follow-up questions. I feel like I had one more thing I wanted to say in that. What did I want to share on the piece around that? Holding space, open-ended questions. Oh, this is the piece, because it ties back to what we're talking about here. The difference between your mindset and knowing what's going on for your people. So the thing here, and I think this is where this becomes so powerful, when we can create that separation. The goal with a conversation with someone like this on when they say they can't afford it, isn't to suddenly convince someone they can afford it. That's pushy sales. When I talk about heart-centered sales, my whole thought with sales is how can we help people get clear on what they want, and then support them to move through it. What I always want to make sure I'm doing when I'm getting off of a sales call is I always want to know what is coming up for the person in front of me. What is their mindset? What is their thought? And not necessarily I'm going to convince this person that they should spend money. That feels very gross and yucky to me. I do want to know, I do want to have enough of a conversation with them to really understand what's actually going on. What's the thing under the thing? If someone's telling me they can't afford it, 9 out of 10 times, it's never that they can't afford it. It's always something else. We can always afford, when we're talking about investing, we can always invest in things we really, really want. Y'all, let's be real here. If there's something you've ever wanted, you figured out a way to pay for it or buy it, even when you can't. If you're saying you can't, usually there's something, maybe you don't want it. Maybe it's not a priority for you right now. Totally valid and acceptable. Or maybe there's some other stuff coming up. I am terrified that I'm not going to make this money back. I don't actually believe in myself in business. again, we're talking about the permission piece. I've never had permission. I don't think it's actually okay to spend money on myself. I don't think I'm worth spending money on. Whatever the thing is, I always want to know what's the thing under the thing. And I want to have enough of a conversation, which means I have to put my mindset and story over here so I can get really focused on what is the mindset and story and thought for the person in front of me. Because then we're having a real conversation, and that's where the magic is, and that's when we can have a real sales conversation and support someone to make a decision that's best for them. Does that make sense? Hopefully that made sense, Courtney. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions. And then I have now been, what time is it, y'all? I love to just chat about this stuff so long. Oh, it's not too late. Okay. I think we talked strategy and all the things I really wanted to get clear on here. But just to kind of put a bow on everything, and if you have last thoughts or questions, throw them here. If you're watching on the replay as well, let me know. Courtney says, yes, thanks, Kim. Of course. To put a bow on this, what I would say is just that reminder that if we can create that separation, like it is game changing. Separation between my mindset, my thoughts, my stories, and what are the thoughts, mindset, stories of my people. How can I create that separation? So over here, I am managing my mind, and I'm doing all the work to manage my mind. I'm not dragging that into business on the mindset front and creating, sabotaging sales, sabotaging booking calls, sabotaging, my offers, sabotaging all the things. And so I'm not dragging this in and literally missing hearing the very things that people are actually saying, because it's so easy to do. Just think again about those fights we have with our partners when we're just projecting our thoughts, what we think is happening versus what's actually happening. And then on the strategy side, how can I create that separation so that I'm really getting curious and under the hood about what is coming up for my people? What do they need? What do they want more than anything? What are they up at night thinking about? What are they tossing and turning about? What are they excited about? What are the thoughts they're having and the words they're using? And I like both sides. If you do this from a mindset perspective, you're going to manage your business from a place of empowerment. We'll use that word. No, but from a place of power where you're able to show up and really get out of your own way and really serve your people. And from a strategy side, like this is when messaging is on point, when copy is on point, when offers are on point, and when your people are like, I just felt like you just read my journal. One of like the best compliments you can get as a business owner is when someone's like, I feel like you just like were over my shoulder or heard a conversation I had, or like you just basically like I feel really seen, or I feel like you just read something I wrote or something I just told my husband or my wife. Like that's what we're looking for from our people. And when you hear those kinds of things, you've created enough of that separation and you're fully focused on your people, their mindset, their thoughts, their stories. And it gives you so much permission to also just remember that like you're a human having a human experience. And of course, you're going to have stuff come up with your mindset. Of course, you're going to have stories. Of course, you're going to have fears. But if you're creating that separation, that's fine. You just manage them over here. You just don't drag them into your business and run your business from that place. All right. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any last minute questions or thoughts. I love y'all. I will see you next Tuesday. We'll have a few more of these. And next Tuesday, I will be announcing this month's free training. So I'll be sure to share that and drop links for that because I think that will be a fun one. All right. See you all next week. Stay safe. Take care of yourselves. Wash your hands. Stay inside. Be kind to one another. Be kind to yourselves. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.